Second to populate. Get everything rolling on the stream, and for some reason I'm not seeing chat. Shut that down and open that back up. I hope you're doing well today. I don't see, there we go, there's my chat. Anyway, so what are we doing today? Well, today, interestingly enough, this is probably going to be, either this is going to be the most interesting thing you've ever seen, or this is going to be a complete bore for you, and you're going to go somewhere else. This is really for the benefit of some of my students and some of the younger people that are thinking about having a career as an audio engineer. If you're wondering why I have headphones on, and I'm not using my in-ear monitors, which I normally do when we're doing these kind of streams, I'm trying a new plugin out today, and I'll show it to you in just a second. But it requires that I wear the headphones. So I'm wearing headphones today, and we're going to be editing a bunch of vocals for a project we've been working on the last several weeks. It's just a local band doing, well, now it's a 9-song first release. It really is a snapshot in time of where this band is at this point. That's sort of the real goal of this recording. These 7 full band songs and a couple of acoustic numbers is really just a snapshot in time of these songs with this band at this point in their trajectory. So, we're doing a really good job of capturing this band as naturally as possible, what they sound like at this point in time in 2023. And in the case of some of the vocal editing stuff, I'm going to show you one of the ways that I work on getting a vocal take that the client can be happy with. And for my students and young people that are thinking about becoming an audio engineer as a career, there are a lot of opportunities to make money as an audio engineer. This is just one of those services that I offer. Normally when people see the studio on television or in movies, there's usually 20 people sitting around, and there's crystal, and there's all kinds of crazy business going on, and everybody's high-fiving, and every 45 seconds there's something really cool that everybody gets crazy about. There could be nothing further from the truth in the studio, especially on days like today. So as you can see, there is no client in the studio right now. And this really kind of speaks to how we work, or at least how I work, in the current climate of things, the way that the studio works. Used to, in commercial studios, and we're talking not even 20 years ago, but definitely 20, 30, 40 years ago, the band would camp out at the studio. They'd have budgets where they basically just camped at the studio. And if they weren't actually working in the studio, they had lounges. Some of them had basketball courts. They had all kinds of things that band guys could do. If nothing else, they could just go out to the lounge area and play ping pong or play video games or eat catering or whatever. That's not, at least in the world that I have lived in the last 30 years, and especially with budgets the way they are now and where we get things done now, that's more the exception than the rule at this point. If you've got those kind of budgets and access to that kind of facility and can just burn money like that, yeah. But generally, what I do with clients that I work with is we have what is essentially a capture session, like with these vocals that you'll see in just a second. We spent all day long yesterday. Let's say, hey, good to see you, Paul. We spent all day yesterday. I'm going to look over to my right. Occasionally, I'll look and see your comments and questions. If you have comments and questions, you're going to get to see my screen in a second. And you can actually see this as we're doing it. You're not just going to look at my ugly mug while I'm working. That would be boring. But yeah, so what we do in a capture session is I really try and keep the vibe super creative and super positive, and the possibilities are endless. And really, at least in my studio, the vibe that I've always tried to cultivate since being here, since moving into this space now, like, how long has it been? 17 years I've been in this space. I've been working out of this room just about every day of my life for 17 years at this point. Certainly every day that I'm in the studio. And the idea when you come here to Secret Cove Studios, secretcovestudios.com, I have to give that plug if you've never been there, to the site. The vibe is you're just coming to hang out. You're coming to hang out, and we're going to be super creative, and we're going to do some really cool stuff, and we're going to get a lot of work done. But it's never really going to feel like work. Every once in a while, we've really got to dig in and do something that's hard to do. But most of the time, it feels more like just hanging out with a buddy. And we're doing really cool stuff. And I find that vibe helps to get people relaxed in their most vulnerable in a good way, their most vulnerable state where they can really emote and give you the real, raw, unfiltered emotion of the song. That's the idea. And so yesterday was a capture session. This band that I had in, Burn 98, the singer, James, came in, and we got vocals, not only lead vocals, but doubles done on 7 songs. And we also got 2 tracks recorded with acoustic guitar and vocal simultaneous. That's a lot of work for one day. And so it's really just that comfortable vibe. I haven't even been alive that long. Yeah, dude. Yeah. It's old man. I feel older and older as the days tick on. That's for sure. Yeah, I've been in this house longer than you've been alive. That's funny. Anyway. So one thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to flip over, and I want to let you see, you're going to see my screen. So this is my Pro Tools session from yesterday. One of the reasons why I'm wearing these headphones is, I'm going to flip over and show you this. I'm trying out a new plugin that Waves makes called Abbey Road Studios Studio 3. And what it basically is a physical modeling of their control room environment so that you can hear what your mix would sound like coming out of different sets of speakers in this room. Now, they have a whole side of this that involves your webcam. Sorry, I had lunch just a while ago. If I burp every once in a while, you're just going to have to forgive me. That'll use your webcam, or they have this thing that'll attach to your headphones that'll track your head. And when you have the head tracking on, you can actually move your head, and you'll move in the space. If you were to watch it, it would actually kind of move around the control room so that you, like if you turned around like you were looking at somebody else, what would it sound like if the speakers were behind you? Or what if you turned your head and looked over here and the speakers were, to the side? So you just hit the 0 button, it goes back. And so I'm not using the head tracking part of this, but I am using the headphone modeling. Right now, I've got it set for the DT 990s, or the 880s. I'm actually using a set of 770s, 770 Studios. And there's either one of these profiles will work, the 880 or 990. I also have a set of the Sony MDRs upstairs, but they need new ear pads. But yeah, so I just pick either one of these. The difference between them is kind of minuscule. And so the choices that I have here are I can listen from the near field monitors, which you see right there where my mouse is. They've got some midfields that kind of go back here to the back. And then the far fields are what you see in the picture with those huge speakers that are soffitted into the wall. The thing that I find is the near fields give me what I'd expect out of a regular set of near field monitors. The midfields bring out some of the mid-range and a little more depth. If there's any problems in the mid-range, you'll hear that problem. It'll poke out. And then the far field monitors are definitely like tons of low end. Usually in these studios, they crank those things up and they're sometimes listening to them at ear splitting volume. And it's more for the client than the engineer. So that's why I'm wearing these headphones today. And I'm just really trying to get acclimated to the sound of it. I feel like this is a lot like when you get a new pair of speakers. I've used the same Event Tria system to mix on for the last 28 years. No, 25 years. The last 25 years. And I've had all kinds of other stuff. I've got a set of Genelecs over there that I had for a while that I didn't like as much. I've also got some Cali Audios those are my play loud for the client. But most of the stuff I do are on these Event Trias. I've mixed enough records on them, 1,000 records at this point, that records and television stuff and things for video projects, a lot of stuff. Just to clarify. Apparently I have to really clarify things. Anyway, I know what they sound like and I know what they're going to give me back. I feel like with this kind of system, with this plug-in, where you're having to, you're sort of superimposing the environment of another environment, you kind of have to get used to listening to it. Almost like I'd have to get used to listening in that room. If I were to go to this studio and have to do some mixing or even some tracking, the first thing I'd probably do an hour or two before the client got there is I would actually pull up mixes that I knew just to listen to them in that environment, to get used to that listening environment, to what those speakers are doing, what that room does, what things sound like. And if you take some mixes you really know really well and you really trust, you can get a gauge on, well, what does this room do? So I'm just trying to get used to this, and that's why I'm wearing this. It also gives me a cleaner feed to you from the microphone. So if I talk over the mix, then you won't hear much bleed. You won't hear hardly any bleed at all. So that's a long-winded explanation of why I'm wearing headphones today, not my session AC ear monitors like I normally do when we're doing these live streams. We're going to try this out. We're going to see how it works. But so this is, so far, is a very, very simple record. It's, I'll show you. It's acoustic drum set. We've got bass guitar, acoustic guitar that we use 2 microphones on. And right now, vocally, it's only going to have lead vocal on it. We don't have any background vocals. Like I say, this is really a snapshot in time of what this band ideally sounds like. And the only real trick that I'm doing right now is to get a certain kind of vocal presence. Sorry, I didn't mean to pop you there. Vocal presence. We did double track the vocal. And normally this guy uses some chorusing live. That's part of his sound. And so part of it was to give him something that he's comfortable with in terms of what he feels like his voice sounds like live. But also, this is a trick that's been done for decades in studios where you'll do a second take. You don't just clone the take and move it forward or backward or delay it for a few milliseconds. Because if you take the exact same track and you delay it a fixed amount of time, you run the risk of getting some really bad comb filtering, and if anything, thinning out the sound of a really nice, robust vocal. So I do some other mixing tricks using delay to widen out the vocal, but none of them will affect the phase relationship of the sound of that voice. We get a rich, robust sound. So to get a chorused type of sound, a thicker type of sound, instead of using an effect, as you can see here on the screen, we just have 2 completely different vocal tracks that were tracked separately. So once we assembled a take I thought was pretty close to the keeper, then I just had him go back and sing along with himself, and we tried to match it as close as we could. So the process that you're going to see this afternoon as we're doing this, and I'll be doing this for 7 tunes today. It goes a lot faster when I'm not talking. Is I'm going to go through and listen to the lead vocal by itself with no tuning, and I'm going to make sure that the performance that I've got is the performance I want to keep. I'm going to make sure that that everything is as in tune as it can be from the performances we captured. If there's one particular line that's a problem, or a word that's a problem, we may swap it out for another word. If I don't have a better take of that particular word, but like say if it's a chorus lyric, maybe I can pull from another chorus and fly it over to this spot where we need to do a little bit of surgery. So these are the kinds of things that we do on any kind of vocal. Now, how granular it gets depends on the budget. When we're doing finished album tracks that are meant to be the definitive recording of an artist's work, then we really get granular. Sometimes I'll spend 4 hours editing a vocal track and the double and the background vocals. In this case, this will take as long as it takes. Some of the editing I did before, we actually did it in session, and a lot of this is just punches. We had one master take that seemed like the best take, and then you can see a few spots where we just punched a few things. There's 4 spots where we punched some lines, and then the same with the double. Had him sing along, and there are just a few spots where we had to do a few retakes to get something that was a little bit tighter. Originally, this double came from one of my other takes, I believe. In fact, let's look at this playlist a second. Yeah, actually, this was at the early part of the session when we were really fresh, and so I just pulled the double from one of the other takes. So in this case, if there's a word that's not great, then it may just have to stay that way. I don't think so. I think we got everything. So I'm going to let you listen to this. I'm going to listen to it without the double so that we can listen and kind of see what we're dealing with. Right now I'm going to pull the auto-tune off of both of these, and we're going to listen to it. I'm going to skip to where the vocal is. Here we go. Put a little bit of something on this so it'll.
Let me sing a little louder, baby, so your heart understands.
So we can get nice and loud for you.
Been a long winding road and you always had my back. They're gonna throw us to the wolves, baby. You wind up leading the pack. Oh yes you will now. And I know.
And this is something I'll do a lot of times when I'm doing this kind of real deep dive on my vocal edits. I'll super compress this thing so that it really just stays in one spot. So I hear every nuance of the performance. So if there's anything that's a little bit out of tune, I'm going to hear it. So for anybody, especially if they come in late, that sees that I'm really compressing the stink out of this vocal, I want to hear every little bit of this. So if there's anything wrong with it, I'm going to hear it. We'll rein it back in just a little bit. Plus, it makes it loud enough for you too.
Been a long winding road and you always held my hand. Let me sing a little louder, babe, so your heart understands.
As this is playing, I'm also going to do a little bit of cleanup on this.
To the wolves, baby. You wind up leading the pack. Oh, yes, you will now. And I know no matter where I go, you're there. And I know no matter what, you'll find me there. And I know no matter where I go, you're there. And I know no matter what, I know you care. I like 4 on the floor, 6 strings on the neck, a 9 in the door, I don't know what to expect. I've got 2 one-way tickets to God knows where. She might ride or die angel, don't nobody compare. Been a long winding road and you always held my hand. Let me sing a little louder, baby, so your heart understands.
timing thing I'll fix.
And I know no matter what, I'll find you there. And I know no matter where I go, you're there. And I know no matter what, I know you care. I like 4 on the floor, 6 strings on the neck, a 9 in the door. I don't know what to expect. I've got 2 one-way tickets to God knows where, and she my ride or die angel. Don't nobody compare. Been a long winding road, and you always held my hand. Let me sing a little louder, baby, so your heart understands. Been a long winding road, and you always had my back. They're gonna throw us to the wolves, baby. You wind up leading the pack. Oh yes, you will now. And I know no matter where I go, you're there. And I know no matter what, you'll find me there. And I know no matter where I go, you're there.
Let's take a look at that. It sounds a little distorted.
And I know no matter what, I know you care.
We'll come back to this in a second, but so you'll notice as it's playing too, I'm doing a little of this stuff where I'm I'm cutting a lot of the headphone bleed out, especially in the case of this where there's not a lot of instrumentation. But really, in most cases, I don't like to leave a lot of headphone bleed. In this case, we've only really got two vocal tracks, so there's not a ton of it. But in situations where I've got maybe 2 or sometimes 3 doubles on a lead vocal, I'll do that sometimes. Or maybe I've got a ton of background vocals with stacking. If you've got 8, 10, 12, 14 tracks of headphone bleed, all of that stuff really eats up a lot of sonic real estate in your mix. So one of the first things that I'll do when I'm going in and doing these edits is I'll go through and I'll just take kind of a cursory, I'm going to turn my tab to transients this off. I usually will go for a longer, on the ends of phrases, a longer fade, so it's a little more organic. I try and come in the beginnings of phrases pretty quick. I'm just going to use my tab to get to the beginning of each one of these. So, like in this case, you got that S right there. So in this case, I'm going to do 2 things. Let me turn my group off a second. I'm going to edit a little closer in on this one so that S doesn't, I don't have 2 S's. In some cases, if the S's are just a little off, I may just snip one and slide it. The idea is you don't want to hear 2 S. You don't want to hear an echoing S. That immediately shows that you've doubled the vocal. So all the magic is gone when you do that. So yeah, so I'm just, there's one spot where I just didn't get the middle. So yeah, so you can kind of see there's a little bit of stuff right here. Let me solo that so you can kind of hear what's going on in this.
They're gonna throw us to the wall.
So some of it's that breathing, some of it just that breathing sometimes can be a little bit of a distraction, especially in a case like this where there's a lot of rhythm happening, there's just a lot of movement in the track. Then those little breaths can kind of, especially when you really hit the compression hard in the mix, all that stuff becomes a problem. So I'll leave that one. Let's keep tabbing through. So yeah, I'm just doing kind of a cursory edit of these ends of these phrases. In some cases, that fade will help make sure that the end of the double ends with the lead track. Again, we're going in close. In this case, you'll see, and we'll talk about this a little bit later. So how this actually starts a little before the original, the keeper. So the fade just helps to mask that entrance a little more and tighten that entrance up. So exciting stuff so far. I tell you what I'll do. I can't see if anybody's even watching at all. But if you're watching this live right now and you'd like a free plugin from Waves, just put in the comments. This is one that we'll address in the edit. So you can see how the end of this word and the end of this word are a little bit different. We're going to go back and we're going to address that when we go in line by line. But just put in the comments what recording software you use. So I'll see it over here on my screen, and I can always go back and look at the live comments after the stream if you'd like a free Waves plugin. And more than likely, because I love to give away the Andrew Sheps. I'm not saying it'll be Andrew Sheps, but I give away that Andrew Sheps channel strip a lot. I spend with my own money. I usually will buy a plug-in and give it away on things like this. So if you're watching the live stream, just in the comments, put whatever your DAW of choice is. If you're watching this on the recorded version, you should have watched it live. Anyway, so I'm just kind of going through and just cleaning all this stuff up. Now, when I'm not talking or thinking about what I have to say to somebody, this can go really, really fast. In 60 seconds, I can go through and do these kinds of cleanups. I don't put auto fades in my preferences. That's just me. I don't like auto fades, even if it's 5 milliseconds, because if I want to change a fade and it has a 5 millisecond or 10 millisecond fade on it, I may not see it at this magnification, and then I bumble around with it, trying to create a crossfade when there's already one there, and I have to delete it, and it's just more mouse clicks and pops. So for just the sake of it, I don't have any auto fades created when I'm recording. Anyway, so we're just cleaning all this stuff up. That's all we're doing. And again, we're going to address this later when I'm going into the double. And now, yeah, we should be towards the tail end of this now. Yep. So now all this really is it's just helping to clean up the entire thing in between the words, so that, especially when I go to mix, the compression itself is not going to bring up that noise floor. There won't be a noise floor there to bring up. So, all right. So the next part of this is I'm pretty happy with that. I mean, I think luckily we captured it. There are times when, especially if an artist has a lot of ADD and I can lose them, once I get them in the flow, I won't do any of this edit stuff during the session. I'll just leave it sitting there. Just punches. I won't fix punches, nothing. We'll just leave it like it is. We'll play through, make sure we got the raw materials, and I just remind them I'm going to clean this up and make it sound great later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split. If you're listening in speakers or if you're listening to headphones, I'm going to split this vocal just a little bit. I like when I'm doing it in speakers, I actually do it wide, but I'm just going to do it a little bit of left, a little bit of right with the double, and we're going to listen through, take off my edit group. And we're going to listen through line by line, and if there's anything that sounds a little off about the double, I'm just going to snip it and straighten it up. Just do it by hand. Now, there's plugins like VocalLine that do this, but I'm not looking for a perfectly inline vocal. We're not doing ADR on a video or a film where the words have to match to a picture. I don't want this double to be completely in line with the original, because then it won't give me that chorusing effect that I'm looking for. If anything, it may sound weird to have that much time compression and expansion and stuff done. To me, I usually can tell it when somebody's using a double but has been vocal-lined. It just doesn't sound like this. This has a very specific sound. So anyway, here we go.
Been a long winding road.
How about we put them at the same volume, Brian?
Been a long winding road and you always held my hand.
There we go.
Let me sing a little louder, baby.
All right. So, yeah. So we'll just keep listening. Here we go. I'll stop if there's something that's a problem.
Been a long winding road and you always held my...
Always, always. S's, S's, S's right here. And if I'm looking at the alignment here, it's pretty well in alignment till the very end. So here's the first thing I'm going to do to try and fix it. I'm not going to just clip the S. I'm actually going to slide this back a little bit. And you can get away with this in a double. You can't get away with this in a lead vocal. But let's see if this is better. Nope. So the problem is the release of that. So just we'll do that. So yeah, in this case, instead of doing that, then what I'll need to do is not that. I'm going to just take this whole thing right here, and I'm just going to fade taper that. So now, that sounds weird when we listen to it in a split like that, but once I lay the double in, you won't hear where that comes off.
Let me sing a little louder, baby.
I can line that up. So what I'm hearing right here is this. If I just line that up a little bit better.
Louder, baby.
See how much cleaner that sounds? There's a little bit of a fall off on it, and the fall off is much more in tune with itself because I just snipped and slid that one little thing.
So your heart understands.
Same thing there. That the pitch bend is a little different on that. So actually from here, I'm just going to grab this whole thing. You see how the end of this double is in a little different place. So I'm just going to see if I can find a nice middle ground here. And in this case, I'm not going to try and crossfade that because there's no way to make that sound good. I'm just going to put a little bit of a in and out on there.
Understand.
It's in the middle of a syllable, so it'll just sound like, it'll sound as natural as it can.
Your heart understands.
All right, same thing with the S. So in this case, we're going to put that fade taper on there.
Understand.
So now he could be a little lazy in that lead vocal with the S, and it's not going to be a problem. All right, so we're going to keep going. Here we go. I can already see here we've got two different lengths on this, and we'll fix that.
Been a long winding road and you always had my back.
So there's a little bit of a timing issue there, so we'll take care of both of those at the same time. So we'll address the timing in a second. So this is just, he held it a particular length in the double, and that was shorter than the original.
You always had my back.
All right, so once we kind of lace the double in, that's gonna take care of itself. The front part of that's okay. I'll move this whole thing back a little bit.
Had my back.
And then align the back. Crossfade. See if that makes for better.
He's had my back. He's had my back.
Yeah, so that's going to sound a lot better. Let's keep going.
They're gonna throw us to the wolves, baby.
Baby. Just a little bit. And really it goes further back than that. Right there, you can see the whole line probably could come back after that first bit. So I'm going to just snip it here, slide it. Right now I'm just kind of eyeballing that it's pretty close. Put a little crossfade there. Stays pretty well in line. And let's see.
Wolves, baby.
Yep. And in this case, the release is a little different. So we're going to taper that.
Baby.
Yep. So here we go. Listen to that.
They're gonna throw us to the wolves, baby.
It's a lot tighter, a lot tighter. Let's keep going.
You wind up leading the pack. Oh, yes, you will now.
So a couple of little things I want to check. It's not super bad, but it could definitely be tighter. Right here. This middle.
You wind up leading the pack.
Lead in. So I'm just curious. This is me getting a little nitpicky. How much I can slide this around.
You wind up leading the pack.
All right, so yeah. Sorry.
You wind up leading the pack.
So when I tune that, that's actually going to be a little bit better. And then, again, we're in the middle of a syllable here, so the delivery on that one word's a little different, but if I get it a little more in alignment, I should be able to make that work. That's good. That's close. If anything, there's a release here that I'm just going to dump.
Oh, yes, you will now. And
So there's a breath right in the middle there. Let's get rid of that. There's the taper there. Let's look at this release on this last word. It's close.
will now. And I know.
I'll keep it for now.
And I know.
So there's a little bit of huh in this take that's not in the other. So I'm going to shore that up a little bit.
And I know.
So I don't lose that leading huh, but it's definitely a lot less than it was.
And I know no matter where I go, you're there.
Stays pretty well in time. This one little spot right here could probably start a little bit more in time. Just slide it a little bit, do a little crossfade here. In this case, put the crossfade right there.
Where I go, you're there.
Same thing, shore that release a
And
little. And like I say, when I'm not talking or thinking about what I'm trying to say to you, this goes fast.
And I know no matter what you find.
Here, it ties up with itself just a little bit, and it moves enough. I'm looking at this. The only thing that I'm going to fix is the what. I think that if I can just fix the what, that'll be enough. Again, it doesn't need to be perfectly in sync. It needs to be really close.
I know no matter what you find.
Sounds weird when you're hearing them separated like that and the double so loud, but once I put the double where it's going to sit in the mix, you'll you won't hear that little separation.
And I know no matter where I go, you're there.
There's a couple of spots right there that I could probably get better. So the first one's going to be, let's snip it in the middle of this and slide it back.
And I know no.
So that's a syllable that I can probably crossfade in and hide that. Like if you hear this crossfade, you'll hear it by itself.
And I know no matter.
You're going to hear that. But I'm going to do two things. This is another trick. So one of the reasons why you're hearing that is, you see how the cycle breaks right there? I'm kind of in the middle of the cycle. So I'm close enough right now that if I can match the cycle, so if I go, I can either go this way and lay the cycle in and get it here. That'll be a lot less obvious. And it's just a matter of, do I keep my alignment that I wanted by doing that? Yeah, I probably could have gone the other direction a little bit more, but let's see. So here it is.
And I know no matter.
So just by putting that crossfade where it already sort of naturally, this one's coming up and down and this one's, the cycles match, then it's easier to hide the edit in the middle of a note like that.
And I know no matter.
Tuning's a little different on both of them, but hopefully once we hit it with the tuner, that will straighten out that differential. So the other thing I wanted to fix is the end could be a little bit better in time, and the problem is right here. So if I just snip and slide this a little bit.
I go, you're there.
Yeah, there we go. Again, this is just all nip and tuck stuff that you can do in a matter of a few minutes, and it makes all the difference in the final mix.
And I know no matter what, I know
What?
you care.
So yeah, so we're gonna. I'm just only gonna edit this. This what?
What I what I
Making get away with a crossfade here.
what I
Just kick this thing around a little bit till it gets in the right spot.
what I
That's close. That sounds like a slapback.
what I know you care.
Yep. So just like I said, it's just a few milliseconds either way, man. If anything, it'll sound like a little bit of a slapback. Care. I think the pitch bend's a little different, but if I get it a little more in time, yeah, I can hide the pitch bend a little bit better by making sure the words start almost the same time. And again, I'm going to fade that end a little bit quicker.
Oh, you care.
All right, we just keep listening.
I like 4 on the floor, 6 strings on the neck, a 9 in the door. I don't know what to expect. I've got 2 one-way tickets to God knows where. She might ride or die.
Where? Kind of straighten up that a little bit. This could probably be a little tighter for some of that up to this point. So if I just slide the beginning of this, see if it fixes all the problems.
God knows where she.
Now all I got to do is worry about where. So it's just that one little slip. It's going to help fix this. And then it's a crossfade.
Where she might ride.
Yeah.
Where she might ride or die.
There we go. That works for me.
Where she might ride or die.
A little bit of mouth noise right in between there. Let's get rid of that.
Where she might ride or die. Angel, don't nobody compare. Been a long winding road and you always.
Take that breath out right there.
Been a long winding road and you always held my hand. Let me sing a little louder, baby.
All right, so Babe is a little bit of a problem, but the front part of the line is more the issue here. So I'm going to treat these separate. I'm going to just pull these together. It's almost there, but it's just a little out.
Let me sing a little louder, baby.
All right, and then let's just make sure Babe is in more alignment. So you notice we had to slip it into different amounts. And if I were really getting granular, I may pull that whole syllable over by itself, but I don't have time for that.
Let me sing a little louder, baby, so your heart understands.
Same thing here. Let's get rid of that S.
So your heart understands. Been a long winding road and you always had my back.
I'm going to get rid of the K on this one, or lessen it.
My back.
Is he a little quicker there?
They're gonna throw us to the wolves, baby. You wind up
Now I hear a little bit of a pitch differential there. I'm just wondering if it's a timing thing though.
to the wolves, baby.
Especially in wolves. I'm wondering if I just slide this whole thing a little quicker.
Goes to the wolves, baby.
That takes care of enough of it for me. And this has a little bit longer decay on it, so I'm going to chop that a little.
The wolves, baby.
So, and maybe even a little bit longer fade. There we go.
They're gonna throw us to the wolves, baby. You wind up leading the pack. Oh, yes, you will.
Is that a breath or a K?
Oh, yes, you will now.
So you hear, so you hear this decay is a little longer and that K is in the wrong place. So I'm going to just chop all of that in the double. So the only K that we'll hear is now. One of the things this will help is any of the sibilants that's on the ends of lines, we won't have to hit the de-esser as hard to get rid of it because there's only one S, not two S's. So sometimes I end up having to hit a de-esser a little harder than I might like because I've got so many S's happening at once. If we don't have one S, then there's a little bit less of that sibilance.
You wind up leading the pack. You wind up leading the pack.
Same thing there. I'm wondering if there's enough of a timing differential that if I just slide this a little bit, it'll be a little more in sync. We're just talking a few milliseconds.
You wind up leading the pack. Oh, yes, you will now. And I know no matter.
You hear that one, right? And no is really, really out. So we're going to try and move this.
I know no matter where I go, you're there.
So I'm not digging that. It's a little out of sync. So here's what I'm going to try and do. We've had that line before. I'm going to go and try and find.
Been long, and I know no matter where I go, you're there. And I know no matter what, I'll find you there.
Got to fix that line too.
And I know no matter where I go, you're there.
So I could maybe borrow from that. This right here.
And I know.
That's the closest that I am.
And I know no matter where I go, you're there.
So the easiest way to do this is I'm going to pull this back, and that's the second, third beat of the measure. Let's go to what's my grid on? My grid's on eighth. Let's go to quarter notes. All right, so yeah, second beat of the measure. So I'm just going to take this. This is what I want to patch.
Oh, yes, you will now. And I know no.
So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold my Alt, and I'm just going to drag this over to beat 2. So I just copied that.
Oh, yes, you will now. And I know no matter where I go, you're there.
It's already a lot better in sync. If anything, I may have to slip it around just a little bit. So just copying that line, again, shorten that up a little bit. I'll go through here, and I'll look at the placement of the whole line. And really, the only thing that needs a touch-up is probably this right here.
And I know no matter.
Yep. Let's see if a crossfade works, or if I hear it.
And I know no matter where.
I'll take it.
And I know no matter where I go, you're there.
So starting at go, we can slide this around a little bit.
I go, you're there.
And all of a sudden now we're better in alignment for a double. So keep going.
And I know no matter what, I'll find you there.
All right, so that we got to fix that. Let's fix the front part of this. I know that I'm going to fix that part, but let's look at this.
And I know no matter what.
Just to see if I can jostle the whole thing so that it's a little more in time. Like it starts to be a little out
And I
there. Let's just move this much of it.
know no matter what.
Yep. Now it's a matter of, can I crossfade this, or do I need to put, I might not be able to crossfade it, maybe too far a stretch.
Oh, no matter.
No, I can get away with that. All right. So,
I'll find you there.
so
I'll
find you there.
You'll find me there.
Can't have I and you. First, let's look at our playlists. I don't think I have an alternate. Nope. Because this is lead vocal 1 and 2. So I'm going to have to find it from a different section. He changes the lyric. so I don't lose it, let me put a marker here.
I'll find you there.
I need,
I'll find you there. They're gonna throw us to the wall. Oh yes you will. Oh yes you will. I know you care.
let's see.
Let me sing a little louder, babe. And you always held my hand. I know no matter where you'll find me there.
Oh, maybe we need to change that. Let's see. I know that's a good take. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to grab this. Go back to where I was. On my fix. Put it a little out for the second.
I'll find.
Yep. So what's going to happen is that's a wrong lyric. That's from the first take. So yeah, so here's what we're going to do. Just pull this up, put that in place. Pull the other one out. Get it lined up. I have to line up the first part of this.
You'll find me there.
Get the there lined up. Let's get this out of here. So yeah, that's one of those where we just kind of, in the heat of doing the session, that's a line that didn't quite get right. We just pull it from somewhere else. And then, let's see. Let's line up this last there for the copy.
There.
Get the release.
And I know no matter what, you'll find me there. And I know no matter where I go, you're there. And I know no matter what, I know.
So what? We're just going to, all that looks good up until what? So we're just going to slide what? Put a little fade taper there, fade taper there.
No matter what, I know.
Ooh, let's get it in time though.
What
Get the release right.
what I know you care. I like 4 on the floor, 6 strings on the neck, a 9 in the door.
Okay. Take that breath out. So much happening rhythmically. Hi-hat, vocal.
Strings on the neck, a 9 in the door. I don't know what to expect. I've got 2 one-way tickets to God knows where. She might ride.
Right there, same thing. Let's see if we can just line that up a little bit more so that all that double just sounds better against the lead.
To God knows where. She might ride.
Where, the bend on where.
Knows where she might ride or die. God knows where she.
A little bit more.
God knows where she might ride or die. Angel.
All right, so this one, this kind of edit's a little difficult because it's kind of a compound edit. I've got a few things happening here. I may be able to pull this in enough that I can crossfade and you won't hear it. This next one's going to be a little trickier though. It's in the middle of what syllable though?
Yeah, she might.
It's in the middle of a shh, so that's not going to be a problem. As long as it's a shh or an is sound, I can usually get away with those.
Yeah, she might ride.
And then sometimes with ums, I can get away with ums. Let's put it as close as I can to where I need it. Oh, hang on. Slide that a little bit.
She might ride or die.
I can get away with that. that's chopped. Up. Don't do that. Oh. I'm kind of at one that needs to get chopped anyway. There we go.
Ride or die, angel, don't. Tickets to God knows where she might. Ride or die, angel, don't nobody compare. Been a long winding road and you always held my hand. Let me sing a little louder, baby, so your heart understands. Been a long winding road and you always had my back.
Back. My back. Let's move them both.
Been at my back.
See if I can get in the middle of that ump.
At my back.
Back is still not quite there.
At my back.
There you go.
They're gonna throw us to the wolves, baby.
We can tighten that up just a little bit. The back half of the line's not too bad. It's the front half of the line that's a little off. So I'm going to, again, in the middle of this syllable here, slide this back. See how close that gets us?
They're gonna throw us to the wolves, baby.
Wolves, babe. I think I can just crossfade this one. Again, how successful this is.
They're gonna throw us to the wolves, baby.
A W, I can get away with that.
They're gonna throw us to the wolves, baby. You wind up leading,
This has got a longer decay on it, so I'm going to pull that back.
baby. You wind up leading the pack. Oh, yes, you will now. And I know no matter where I go, you're there. And
There. Yeah, let's just slide there just a little bit. Same thing here, we just crossfade this just a little bit.
you're there. And I know no matter what you find.
Yeah, that last little bit with the no matter what.
And I know no matter what.
It sounds like it kind of goes off the rails a little bit. Put a crossfade in there. Starting right about there. Let's see if moving it this far gets me.
I know no matter what you.
The what's a little off. Again, can I get away with this?
Matter what.
And will this crossfade work? I don't think this crossfade is going to work.
Matter what.
Hear that little pop in there? In this case, yeah, we're just going to put a little. It's going to sound weird by itself.
Matter what.
But once we layer it in there, it'll be fine. Same thing here. I'm going to see if I can get that, massage the end of that just a little bit.
Oh, no matter what, you find me there.
Yeah, that goes a little long. Let's get it in alignment. The pitch bend works.
Find me there.
And then let's
Find me there.
shorten that up a little bit.
Find me there. And I know no matter where I go, you're there.
I'll just double check the timing on that.
Where I go, you're there.
I'll let it slide for now.
And I know no matter what, I know you care.
All right. What? What is it with what? What?
What, matter what, I know you care.
I don't mind it sound like a slap back. Let's see. Let's see how close that is. That's about as close as it's going to get. All right. So there we go. So now we got the double. So now the other thing to do as I'm listening to this is right now I'm just using kind of auto tune and auto mode to handle the tuning of it. You know, just kind of it's not super hard, but it's enough to pull it in a little bit more. I want to see if this particular tuning is, when I do a final tuning on this, how well it's going to take to the tuning, especially with all the little bends and stuff. So we're going to listen, see if anything jumps out at me as being wrong, and then I'll set the lead vocal where it needs to go with the double, where approximately where it'll be in the mix, and we'll see how it all works together. So let's listen to them with the tuning, make sure the tuning's going to work.
Been a long winding road and you always held my hand.
Kind of see what the tuning's doing here.
Let me sing a little louder, baby, so your heart understands. Been a long winding road and you always had my back. They're gonna throw us to the wolves, baby.
Probably go harder.
You wind up leading the pack. Oh, yes, you will now. And I know no matter where I go, you're there.
Tune a lot more on the double.
I know no matter what, you'll find me there.
Relax the tune speed.
And I know no matter where I go, you're there. And I know no matter what, I know you'll care.
So far, so good.
I like 4 on the floor, 6 strings on the neck, a 9 in the door. I don't know what to expect. I've got 2 one-way tickets to God knows where. She might ride or die angel, don't nobody compare. Been a long winding road and you always held my hand. Let me sing a little louder, baby, so your heart understands. Been a long winding road and you always had my back. They're gonna throw us to the wolves, baby. You wind up leading the pack. Oh, yes, you will now. And I know no matter where I go, you're there. And I know no matter what, you'll find me there. And I know no matter where I go, you're there. And I know no matter what, I know you care. I like 4 on the floor, 6 strings on the neck, a 9 in the door. I don't know what to expect. I've got 2 one-way tickets to God knows where. She might ride or die angel, don't nobody compare. Been a long winding road and you always held
Can't
my
hear those
hand.
edits, which is great.
Let me sing a little louder, baby, so your heart understands. Been a long winding road and you always had my back. They're gonna throw us to the wolves, baby. You wind up leading the pack. Oh, yes, you will now. And I know no matter where I go, you're there. And I know no matter what, you'll find me there. And I know no matter where I go, you're there. And I know no matter what, I know you care.
Yeah. All right. So I'm pretty confident that's going to work. The only thing left to do at this point is set this back to center. Set that back to center. Duck that. I'm going to slide this channel strip down. have to do a little bit of... I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of treatment on this that's close to what's going to be happening when I mix it. So this isn't exactly what I'll do when I mix it, but it's close. I'm going to get a little bit of tape compression. What was I using? Country. Not because it's country, but because I like this particular tape stock for this kind of vocal. So.
Been a long winding road and you always held my hand.
I want to get where he's kind of singing hard.
Let me sing a little louder, babe.
Like so right here. Nope, don't do that.
I like 4 on the floor,
So I don't want to bury
on the neck, a 9 in the door. I don't know what to expect. I've got 2 one-way tickets to God knows where, and she my ride or die angel. Don't nobody compare. Been a long winding road, and you always held my hand. Let me sing a little louder, baby,
So I'm clipping a little bit.
so your heart understands.
All right, let's back off that.
Been a long winding road and you always had my back. They're gonna throw us to the wolves, baby. You wind up leading the pack. Oh yes you will now.
All right, so I got some tape compression happening. I had a little lighter SSL compression happening. I'm going to copy both of those to my double. And I'm going to do a little trick with the double where I take the low end in a bell around 140, 120, 140. We're going to make the double a little thicker. I'm going to move that a little bit lower. And I'm going to pull a little of the air out of that and push it. Well, I'm going to pull it out and push it up. Pull it out and push it up. Make your own jokes there, folks. Anyway, so the vocal, the double has got a little bit of a different sound. It's a little richer on the bottom end as I hide it. So now I'm going to hide this. Let me flip over to my control surface here. Yeah, I'm going to start from the beginning. I'll listen to this with an approximate treatment and with the double at the approximate volume I might do when I mix. Let's just see how it works, how well it's glued together.
Been a long winding road and you always held my hand.
Probably hit this a little harder.
Let me sing a little louder, babe, so your heart understands. Been a long winding road and you always had my back. They're gonna throw us to the wolves, baby. You wind up leading the pack. Oh yes you will now.
Bring up the acoustic guitar.
And I know no matter where I go, you're there. And I know no matter what, you'll find me there.
That what's still a little iffy, but
And I know no matter where I go, you're there. And I know no matter what, I know you care. I like 4 on the floor, 6 strings on the neck, a 9 in the door. I don't know what to expect. I've got 2 one-way tickets to God knows where. She might ride or die angel. Don't nobody compare. Been a long winding road and you always held my hand. Let me sing a little louder, baby, so your heart understands.
I'll drive this a little bit. Just see what happens.
Been a long winding road and you always had my back.
I don't like that a little.
They're gonna throw us to the wolves, baby. You wind up leading the pack. Oh yes you will now. And I know no matter where I go, you're there. And I know no matter what,
I'll let you hear it without the double.
find me there.
Here's without the double.
And I know no matter where
It just doesn't have the same presence.
And I know no matter what, I know you care. I like 4 on the floor, 6 strings on the neck, a 9 in the door, I don't know what to expect. I've got 2 one-way tickets to God knows where, that she might ride or die angel. Don't nobody compare. Been a long winding road and you always held my hand. Let me sing a little louder, baby, so your heart understands. Been a long winding road and you always had my back. They're gonna throw us to the wolves, baby. You wind up leading the pack. Oh yes you will now. And I know no matter where I go you're there. And I know no matter what you'll find me there. And I know no matter where I go you're there. And I know no matter what, I know you care.
So yeah. So that's not bad. That's not bad. There's a few spots where the word "what" jumps out at me, as it almost sounds like a slapback. So I'll have a choice there, and what I think is probably going to happen as I'm putting the mix together, I'll probably edit those "whats." I'll just duck the double on that one word, so it's not as an obvious a slapback sort of feel to it, because I'm definitely not going for rockabilly. So maybe I just automate that one word. It happens a lot in the song, but since we're on the grid, I can probably copy paste it. So put it where I want it in terms of the volume for the double. Copy, just basically shuffle all the way through, and everywhere where I had that word "what," just paste in that particular automation setting, and just very quickly bring it down to where it needs to be, so that it's not as much as that. So yeah, so I mean, it took about an hour to do. When I'm not talking to you, not thinking about what I'm going to say to you, that could go a lot quicker. That can go in 20 minutes if I'm really, really in the zone. If I'm really locked in, 30 minutes at the most, and yeah. And that's only because I'll listen to it several times. The other thing I'll do is I'll let this marinate for a day before I send a rough mix out to make sure it's where it needs to be. So some of that might be the tuning. I may, actually do a final tune before I put the rough together to send to him to approve the final vocal. And yeah, so that's on something simple like this, where it's just basically a 3-piece band with a single lead vocal. That's pretty close. It's not really a demo. It's not really like an album. It's that nebulous area somewhere in between. It's a band's first release where we're just trying to have a snapshot in time. What do these guys sound like on these songs with this instrumentation at this time? And, just the optimal version of that. So, yeah, hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight as to do this times 7, and that's what a good part of the rest of the day is going to be like for me as I'm going through and doing all of this. This is pretty indicative of this process. The only time that it gets even more in depth is when I've got multiple takes. Here we just did a few takes, so I've got less choices. We just tried to make sure we got the right choices captured or close. Sometimes on an actual album, what's going to be an album track, or an album release, we may do 6 or 8 takes of a lead vocal, and then I'll comp all that lead vocal together, and then we'll do the double. especially if the lead vocal ends up being real stylized based on the choices that I make in the comp. And then we'll have to do the double after that comp is assembled. Here, we just pretty much took one really good solid run at the thing and just passed a few spots. Just smaller budget, smaller amount of time. And he sang it really well. That was the other part. I mean, he sang it well. So that's what he sounds like live. And we're really just using the tuning just to kind of bring it to the center a little bit more and help the double match the lead. So once I actually do the final tune, I won't do like a hard melodyne on this thing where we really put everything under the microscope. I'll do something a little lighter where it just kind of pulls everything towards the center a little bit better. And that's it. If you got any questions and you're watching this on the recorded version, just leave your comments in or leave your questions in the comments and I'll answer those. And there's a ton more of these videos. I look at the analytics on who watches my channel. The majority of people that watch this stuff, especially that watch live streams, are watching for the very first time. There's tons of other live streams for plug-in tutorials, mixing tutorials, all kinds of tutorials. We'll consider this a vocal editing tutorial, and I'll just leave this up here for you so that you can see the process and see what it's like. If I would have the client here while we did it, they'd be bored to tears. They'd be sitting back on that couch, probably on their laptop or on their social media, and I've gotten used to listening to the same song 500 times in a day. Most people aren't used to that, and so it's a different thing. This is a lot better process, especially when I'm not having to web stream. I could just work, just listen, work, pop, click, zoom around, move fast. I can get these things done pretty quick. So that's it. That's all I got for you, man. I appreciate you hanging out for over an hour at this point, and nobody got a plug-in this time because you didn't watch live. But if you'll make sure you subscribe to the channel, click the bell so that you'll get notifications every time I go live. A lot of times when I go live on a live stream, especially when we're doing this kind of thing, I'll give away a plug-in or some other kind of giveaway prize. And you don't want to miss those. So that's it. I got a few more interviews that we're doing this week for Fader Jocks. Fader Jocks will be back soon, my podcast. So you'll have some more interviews with some great working engineers, producers, musicians, recording musicians. We'll have some more of those coming real soon. And that's all I got for you now. So I guess it's time to sign off. I'll just remind you to be awesome to everybody that you meet. Be extra awesome to yourself. And until next time, I'll see you again when I see you. Thanks so much.